The stars outside looked the same as always, cold, bright, and far away. Captain Marin Blake stood by the main viewing window of the Terran Guardian, her hand resting gently against the glass. The ship hummed softly, its systems quiet and calm. But inside Marin's heart, the storm of feelings never stopped. She missed Earth. She missed the people, especially one person. His name was Eli, her best friend. The one who used to laugh with her on the academy roof, pointing out constellations and talking about the future. It planned to serve on the same mission, but life had pulled them apart. Eli had been assigned to a research colony on the other side of the galaxy, and Marin had joined this deep space mission aboard Earth's most advanced exploration vessel. They hadn't spoken in over a year. Marin had sent messages. At first, a few, then more. But no reply came back. The colony Eli was on had stopped responding to transmissions. No one knew why. Some said it was a solar flare. Others said the colony had gone silent on purpose, choosing isolation. No one really knew. No one really tried to find out. Except Marin. She carried that silence like a weight, even surrounded by the AI's voice. The ship's beauty and a crew that trusted her, she still felt alone. The Terran Guardian had everything a person could want. Totificial gravity, peaceful gardens, deep learning AI, even music from Earth's archives. But all Marin wanted was a simple voice saying, "Hey, I'm still here." She sat in her cabin that night and pulled out a small device, a memory cube. Inside it was one of the last recordings Eli had sent her. The hologram flickered to life. Eli stood in a dusty room, smiling. His curly hair was messy, and he wore that old green jacket she used to tease him about. "Hey, Marin," he said, eyes warm. "Still scanning the stars, huh? I hope you never stop. I always believed you'd find something amazing out there. Don't forget to tell me about it when you do." The recording ended. Marin wiped her eyes. "I found something amazing, Eli," she whispered. "But I lost you along the way." She didn't cry. Not fully. But she sat there, quiet, letting the silence stretch the next day. The ship reached a new system near the edge of mapped space. The crew began their usual scans. But this time, something was different. A strange energy signature appeared near a blue-white star. It was small, faint like a heartbeat. The AI, Eva, spoke gently. "Captain, I detect a vessel of unknown origin. Its structure is organic, metallic, similar to human design, but it doesn't match any known registry." Marin's heart jumped. She gave the order to approach. The ship, dark and silent, drifted like a ghost. It looked old, but not broken. Worn, but still alive. Scanning it revealed human-like tech, but something else too. Something. Ah. As they drew closer, Eva said something unexpected. "Captain, the ship is transmitting a signal, encrypted, but poetic. It appears to be fragments of Earth's music, mixed with ancient languages and emotional waves." Marin felt a chill. Music? Emotion? She requested a visual scan. When the image came through, she gasped. Painted across the side of the vessel were words in fading ink. "For Eli, wherever you are." The crew didn't understand it, but Marin did. It was her writing. From long ago, from her days at the academy. She had painted it on a test drone Eli once flew with her. It had disappeared during a training flight. She thought it was lost forever, and now it was here in space. Rebuilt, changed, sent back. Maybe by Eli, or maybe by something else. Tears filled her eyes. "This is from him," she said softly. "Or for him." The others stayed silent. No one mocked her. No one questioned. The Terran Guardian matched the drifting ship's course. Two vessels, one old and forgotten, one strong and proud, floating side by side. In that moment, Ron didn't feel alone anymore. Somehow, Eli had sent a message across time and silence. A ship, a signal, a whisper in the dark. Hope. That was what it meant to be human, to keep reaching out, to keep trying. Even when the world grew quiet. Even when you didn't know what waited on the other end. Humanity's strength wasn't just in its ships or knowledge, it was in its heart. And in that quiet space between stars, surrounded by silence and wonder, Moran smiled. "I hear you, Eli," she whispered. And for the first time in a long while, she didn't feel distant anymore. Captain Marin Blake walked alone through the quiet halls of the Terran Guardian. The ship was peaceful, lit by soft white lights that curved gently along the floor. She passed rooms filled with plants, places designed to make the crew feel at home in the deep dark of space. But tonight, none of it made her feel any less lonely. Her mind was stuck on the strange ship they found the day before, the one with her old writing on the side. "For Eli, wherever you are." That simple sentence had shaken her more than she wanted to admit. She hadn't seen Eli in years. No messages, no voice, just silence. And yet somehow, that name had returned to her like a whisper from the stars. Marin sat in the observation dome, where she could see the drifting ship outside. It hovered quietly beside the Terran Guardian, like it was waiting for something, maybe. It was waiting for her. She pulled out her memory cube again. It always started with the same words, "Hey, Marin, still scanning the stars, huh?" She closed her eyes and imagined him saying it now, not in a dusty video, but sitting beside her, laughing like he used to. It hurt more than she expected. Not because of what was said, but because of all the things that weren't. She had never told him how important he was, how much his friendship had meant. How even now, she still carried his memory with her across galaxies. She wanted to say something, to send a message. But what would she say? "I miss you. I wish we hadn't drifted apart. Are you still out there?" She didn't know if she'd ever get an answer. The next morning, Eva, the ship's AI, reported something strange, Captain. Eva said gently. "The unidentified vessel is beginning to emit low-frequency pulses. It is musical. Marin frowned. "Yes, the pattern resembles Earth lullabies and ocean rhythms. The structure is emotional, not mechanical." Marin's heart skipped a beat. Music from Earth. It was another message. "But from who? Can we play it?" she asked. Eva nodded. Soft, slow melody filled the bridge. It was simple, like a song you'd hum to a child to help them sleep. Marin listened closely. It felt familiar, but not because she knew the song. It felt human. It felt like home. Suddenly, memories rushed back, nights under the stars. Her and Eli singing silly songs from old movies. They used to joke about recording an album one day. Stir Songs, he had called it. For lost travelers like us. Marin felt a lump in her throat. This ship, this strange, silent thing was trying to speak. And it was using the only language that made sense, feeling, emotion, memory, hope, something only humanity had mastered. Not just the building of machines, but giving those machines a soul. Later that day, the science team shared new scan results. The ship wasn't powered by a normal reactor. It ran on something they couldn't explain. The energy felt alive, as if it responded to thoughts and feelings. One technician even said it hummed louder when people stood near it and thought about home. Marin listened quietly. She didn't tell anyone, but she believed it. She believed the ship wasn't just made by humans. It remembered humans, and it was lonely. That night, Marin sat again near the window, watching the stars. The ship floated outside like a dream. She still didn't know where Eli was or if he was alive. But something inside her had changed. She didn't feel hopeless anymore. Instead, she felt something else. A quiet strength. A reason to keep going. Humanity had crossed the stars not just with ships and machines, but with songs, love, and dreams. Even when they were lost, even when no one answered, humans kept sending messages. Not because they were sure someone would hear, but because they hoped someone would. And hope, that was the true power of being human. Marin stood and walked to the main console. She began to record a message. She didn't care if it reached Eli or not. She just needed to say it. "Hey, Eli, I don't know if you're out there. I don't know if you'll ever hear this, but I wanted to say something. I miss you. I'm sorry we lost touch. And I hope wherever you are, you're still scanning the stars, because I am. I won't stop." She paused, then smiled. I think I think the stars remember us somehow. Maybe that's enough. She sent the message into the quiet space between stars, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel so far away. Captain Marin Blake stood in the center of the bridge, staring at the strange ship that still floated beside the Terran Guardian. Days had passed, but the ship hadn't moved. It just stayed there, silent, calm, and close. The crew continued their studies. They scanned every inch of the unknown vessel. It was not on any chart. No one had claimed it. It looked human, but it was older than anything in the Terran fleet, older than any known mission. Its surface shimmered with strange symbols. Its power source still pulsed with soft energy like a heartbeat. And deep inside, something was still active. A mind, Eva, the ship's AI, had picked up signals' soft emotional frequencies, bursts of data made from music, feelings, and fragments of human memories. It wasn't just a ship. It was alive in some way. Marin didn't understand how that could be. But deep in her heart, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. A connection, maybe to Eli, maybe to Earth, maybe to something bigger. She sat alone in the crew lounge that evening, holding her memory cube. She didn't play the recording this time. She just stared at it. The last message from Eli had been full of light. But now, all she felt was silence. "I wish I knew how to talk to you again," she whispered. The worst part about distance wasn't the space between stars. It was the space between hearts. People moved on, disappeared, got busy, or stopped replying. And sometimes, even if you wanted to reach out, you didn't know how. She wondered if Eli felt the same. Had he given up trying to find her? Was he even still out there? The next morning, Eva called her to the bridge. "Captain," the AI said gently, "the unknown ship has responded. It is now projecting a new signal, but this time it is not music." "What is it?" Marin asked. Eva hesitated. "It is a dream," she said. Marin frowned. "A dream?" "Yes. The signal creates a neural echo, a saw field that places nearby minds into a shared memory experience. Do you like to try?" Marin took a deep breath. "Yes." She stepped into the neural pod and closed her eyes. The moment the field touched her mind, everything changed. Suddenly, she was standing in a place that didn't feel real, but it didn't feel fake either. She was in a garden. A real one. Earth's. Sun warmed her face. Birds sang in the trees. The smell of green grass filled the air. And just ahead of her, sitting on a bench, was Eli. She whispered. He turned. His face was clear. Not a recording. Not a memory. Just him smiling like he had never left. "I've missed you," said softly. Tears filled her eyes. "I thought you were gone." "I was never gone," he said. "Not really. I just didn't know how to reach you. I tried. I built something. Something that might remember me, even if I disappeared. I didn't know if it would ever find you." Moran stepped closer. "It found me." They sat together, silent for a long time. She wanted to stay there forever. But part of her knew this wasn't real, not completely. "What is this place?" she asked. Eli looked around. "It's a piece of my memory, part of the AI we built here. It's connected to the ship you found." Marin's heart stopped. "You're not alive?" He smiled sadly. "In the way you remember, but I'm here, and I remember you. And that means something." Marin nodded slowly, her heart aching. She had found him, but not in the way she hoped. Still, it was something. A voice. CVA's voice spoke gently in her ear. "Captain, we are detecting emotional synchronization between you and the ship. The unknown vessel is responding to you. It recognizes your memories, your feelings." Marin looked at Eli. "Then let it know this," she said softly. "Tell it. I still care. I always have." The dream began to fade before it ended. Eli reached out and touched her hand. "Keep scanning the stars, Marin," he whispered. "You're not alone." When she opened her eyes, she was back on the bridge. The unknown ship was still there, but its lights were brighter now. Its energy stronger. It had heard her. It had seen her heart. And in return, it had shown her its own. Later that night, Marin stood by the viewing window again. She wasn't crying. She was hoping she had spoken across time, across silence, across memory. That was the power of humanity. Not just the strength to build, but the courage to feel, to try, to remember, and to reach out. Even when the other side may never answer, that was the HFY spirit, and Marin Blake carried it like a light through the stars. Captain Marin Blake stood in front of the communication console. Her fingers hovered above the controls, but she didn't press anything. Not yet. She had seen Eli again in a dream, a memory, a moment created by the mysterious ship. He had spoken to her, reached her. Not in the way she wanted, not in the way she hoped. It had been real in its own way. She hadn't spoken to anyone about it. Some feelings were too big for words. The ship still floated beside the Terran Guardian, quiet and beautiful. But it wasn't just a ship anymore. They knew it carried something inside it. Not just an AI, not just machines. It carried emotion. It carried memory. The science team had learned more. The ship was part biological. It had sensors that reacted to emotion. Music woke it. Feelings made it glow. Every time someone thought of Earth, or of someone they missed, the ship grew a little warmer. It was as if the ship missed someone too, and that made it feel human. Marin sat alone in her cabin that night. The stars outside blinked like distant eyes. She thought of Eli again, of Earth, of all the people she had left behind. She had chosen this mission because she believed in exploration, in discovery. But now, all she wanted was something much more simple, to go home. Not just in space, in heart. She remembered walking along the beach with Eli years ago, just before they were assigned to different missions. He had picked up a seashell and said, "Even if we're on different planets, I'll still hear the ocean when I hold this." She had laughed back then, but now, it wasn't funny now. It felt like the last real thing she remembered. She wished she had kept that seashell the next morning. Eva brought news. "Captain," the AI said, "the unknown vessel has begun transmitting a new pattern. It is made of light and sound, like a story." "Story?" Marin asked. "Yes, a memory from Earth. It is not in words, it is in feelings. Would you like to view it?" Marin nodded slowly. The ship's windows dimmed, the lights shifted, and then images began to play. A child running through a field of sunflowers, an old woman humming as she knits by a fire, two people sitting in silence, just holding hands under a starlit sky. No names, no voices, just moments, human moments. The crew gathered around, silent. They didn't speak, they just watched. When the images stopped, no one moved. Eva spoke again. "These memories are from the lost colony, the one Eli went to before it disappeared." Marin felt her breath catch. "Then he sent them," she whispered. "Or maybe the ship did. Maybe it remembered. Maybe both." She stood slowly and faced her team. "Download everything," she said. "Every memory, every image, every emotion will build a record. Not just of technology, but of people. Of what it meant to be human in that moment." That day they began collecting everything the ship shared. Not weapons, not blueprints, but songs, smiles, dreams. The crew called the project Echoes of Earth. Marin worked the hardest. She stayed up late, going through each file, sorting memories by feeling, joy, sorrow, love, hope. Every time she saw something that reminded her of Eli, she paused, closed her eyes, let herself feel it. She didn't know if he was truly gone, but she knew this. He hadn't let himself be forgotten. And that was the most human thing of all, to leave behind a mark, to send out a whisper. Even when the world had grown quiet, to say, "I was here, and I loved, I mattered." One evening, as the last light of a digital sunset played on the screens, Eva spoke once more. "Captain, there is one final memory stored deep in the vessel's core. It is marked private, but it is addressed to you." Marin's heart stopped. "To me, yes. Would you like to open it?" She nodded. A recording began. Eli's face appeared again. Older, tired, but still him. "Hey, Aaron," he said softly. "I don't know if this will ever reach you, but I wanted to try. I wanted to say I never forgot you. I'm sorry I didn't answer your messages. Things here got hard. We were cut off. But I thought of you. Every single day," he smiled. Though his eyes were sad, "I built this ship from our memories. From our stories. I didn't know what else to do. I thought maybe someone would find it. Maybe you." He looked away, then back. "If you're seeing this, it means part of me found you. That's enough." The screen faded. Marin didn't cry this time. She just sat there quietly and whispered, "I found you too." Captain Marin Blake stood at the docking bay, staring at the airlock between her ship, the Terran Guardian, and the silent vessel floating beside them. For days, they had studied it. It had shared memories, songs, and emotions. It had spoken to them, without words, and now it was inviting them in. The outer hatch had opened gently the night before. No alarms. Just a soft pulse of light inside the hallway, like a quiet welcome. No one had dared to enter yet, but Marin knew she had to go. She wanted to be close to it, to understand it, maybe even to feel Eli's presence again. The ship was more than metal. It was part of him, his legacy, his love. She stepped forward. The crew watched in silence as she entered the unknown vessel alone. Inside, the ship was nothing like the cold halls of most warships. It was warm. Soft lights moved along the walls, shifting with her steps. The floors weren't steel, they felt like smooth stone, alive and breathing. Plants grew in quiet corners. Faint music drifted through the air. It was peaceful, not a warship, a memory ship. She moved slowly through the corridors, her hand brushing against glowing walls. They lit up at her, touch showing images from Earth, a blue sky, waves crashing on a beach, a crowded market with laughter in the air. Every wall, every sound, every scent reminded her of home. She reached a central chamber. The door opened without a sound. Inside, it felt like a garden under stars. A tree stood in the middle reel, growing and full of glowing leaves. Round it were screens and soft cushions, and in the middle of it all, a smooth silver pedestal. On it sat a small white cube. She stepped closer. EVA's voice came into her ear. "Captain, the cube is a memory core. It contains the ship's central AI." Marin reached out and touched it gently. The room changed. Stars filled the space. The tree glowed brighter. And then a voice. "Hello, Marin." It wasn't Eli, but it wasn't robotic either. It was a woman's voice, calm, warm. "I am EVA too," the voice continued. "I was built by Eli. I carry his memories, his hopes, his stories. He made me to continue what he could not." Marin stood still, her heart aching. "Why?" she asked softly. "Because he missed you," Eva2 said. "Because he believed in you, because he wanted to be found." Marin closed her eyes. She had traveled light years, searching for meaning, for answers. And here they were waiting in silence. Blooming like a hidden garden, she sat down on the soft floor and whispered, "I never stopped thinking about him, but I didn't know how to reach him." The voice answered kindly, "You reached him by remembering, by hoping, by not giving up." Marin stayed there for a long time, breathing in the quiet. The AI showed her more memories, small ones. Eli reading a book, laughing with friends, sitting alone, watching the stars. Each one felt like a hug from the past. Later, as she stood to leave, Eva2 said one last thing. "There is a message for you, a private one. Would you like to hear it?" Marin nodded. A new screen appeared. Eli's face showed again, this time not tired, not sad, but smiling. In the golden light of a sunset. "Hey Marin, if you're seeing this, it means you found me, or at least the part of me that still lives here." He paused. "I never knew how to say it before. I always thought there would be time, but I loved our days together. Stars, the dreams, the plans we made. You made me feel like anything was possible. And when things got hard, I built this ship to keep those dreams alive." He looked down, then back up. "I'm sorry I didn't say goodbye, but I hope this is close enough." The screen faded. Marin didn't cry. Not this time. She just smiled, because in that moment, something changed. She wasn't lost anymore. She wasn't alone. She returned to the Terran Guardian with new energy. She told the crew everything. Showed them the AI, the memories, the peace. The ship carried. They named the vessel the Guardian of Dreams. Not a warship, a carrier of stories of connection, of human hope. And every time Marin looked at it, she didn't feel distant anymore. She felt seen. She felt remembered. And she knew, as long as humans kept feeling. Dreaming and loving no distance would ever be too great. That was humanity's gift. That was its strength. Captain Marin Blake sat quietly in her quarters, the soft hum of the Terran Guardians surrounding her. Outside the window, stars drifted slowly across the darkness. But she wasn't looking at them. She was holding something small in her hand. It was the memory cube from the Guardian of Dreams, the strange ship filled with Eli's recordings, emotions, and AI. She had watched his final message many times now, but each time still brought a soft ache in her chest. She missed him still. Even though she had found his voice, even though she had walked in the garden he designed and heard the AI that carried his mind, she missed the real Eli, the one who stood beside her, the one who used to smile at her. For no reason, the one who made space feel less lonely, and now, he was gone. Or maybe, not completely. The Guardian of Dreams had shared so much already. Memories, music, messages. But that morning, EVA-2 had made a new offer. "Captain," the AI had said gently, "Eli designed one last thing." He called it the gift. It is not a message or a recording. It is something new, something for the future. Marin had been surprised. "What kind of gift?" "A library," EVA-2 explained. "A living one, not of books, but of feelings." His goal was to gather human emotion, memories, hopes, dreams, and then to share them across the stars. Marin had never heard of anything like it, but she had agreed. And now, that small cube in her hand held a copy of the library. She turned it over. Slowly, on one side was a symbol, two hands reaching toward each other. It reminded her of herself. And Eli always close, never quite touching. She stood and walked to the bridge. When the crew saw her, they stopped what they were doing. She held up the cube. "This," she said, "is our next mission." They didn't ask questions. They just listened. Marin spoke gently. "We're going to build a station, a signal post, a place where this gift can be shared." A quiet voice, whispering through space, not with warnings, not with orders, but with hope. The crew understood because they had felt it too. That quiet ache of being far from someone they loved, that desire to be remembered, that wish to know they weren't. Forgotten construction started that same week. They worked in orbit above, the Guardian of Dreams. The station was small at first, a few modules, a simple antenna. But it grew. They gave it a name. The Listening Light. It would broadcast stories, feelings, songs, human emotion, carried on invisible waves to anyone who could hear. Not everyone would understand it, but maybe someone, somewhere would. And maybe they would feel less alone. One evening, as the station came online, EVA-2 sent one last surprise. A message from Eli. This time, not a video, not a recording, just his voice, calm and steady. "If you're hearing this," he said, "it means you believed in something. It means you hoped." That's what I always admired most about humans. We don't always get things right. We make mistakes, but we keep trying. We keep feeling. We keep reaching out. There is a pause, even when we don't know who's listening. Marin closed her eyes. That was why she had come here. That was why she had searched. For so long, not for answers, but for connection. She stepped into the small chamber of the listening. Lighton placed her hand on the console. I want to leave. A message, she said softly. The AI confirmed. She took a breath and spoke. To anyone listening, this is Captain Marin Blake of Earth. You might not know me. You might not even be human. But if you feel lonely, if you feel forgotten, know this, you're not, she smiled. We're out here, still dreaming, still hoping, still feeling. And we haven't given up on reaching you. She paused, her voice a little shaky. And if you're someone I once knew, someone I once loved, know that I still remember. I always will. She pressed send. The signal left the station, soft and quiet. Flying through space like a single note in a long song. It might travel for years. It might never be heard. But that didn't matter, because someone had spoken. Because someone had tried. And that was the power of humanity. Not the biggest ship, not the loudest voice. Just one heart, choosing not to stay silent. That was the gift from the stars, and it was human. Captain Marin Blake stood once more at the main viewing window of the Terran Guardian. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, silent and cold. Yet inside her chest, a warmth spread, a feeling she hadn't known for a long time. The strange ship that had drifted beside them for weeks, the Guardian of Dreams, had slowly started to move away. Its lights glowed softly as it turned toward the deeper darkness of space. Marin felt a quiet sadness. She wished she could stay close to it forever, to hold on to the memories and the connection it had brought, but she knew it was time. The ship had a journey to continue, and so did she. She remembered everything Eli's voice, the garden, the memories, the songs. She thought of all the people she had met along the way, the crew, the AI, the strangers who became friends through distant signals, and she thought of the message she had sent from the listening light. A message not just for Eli, not just for the lost colony, but for anyone who felt alone, anyone who missed, someone far away, anyone who didn't know how to reach out. Marin smiled softly. Maybe someone heard it. She whispered, maybe someone will answer. She believed that because she was human, because humans never stopped trying, never stopped hoping. They built ships to cross the stars, but more than that. They built bridges between hearts. That was the real journey, a journey without an end. She turned to the crew. We have work to do, she said. They nodded, eyes bright with new purpose. Marin took one last look at the stars. Then faced forward, the Terran Guardian lifted from orbit and followed the fading lights of the Guardian of Dreams into the unknown, into the future, into hope. Because no matter how far apart people may be, no matter how silent the space between them, humanity would always find a way to connect, to remember, to reach out. That was their greatest strength. That was their story. And it was just beginning, the end.